Gruesome Magazine.
Hello once again, I'm your host, Doc Rodden, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts, Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and myself will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we're reviewing Totally Killer, streaming on Prime Video beginning October 6, 2023. Oh boy, this is going to be a good one. Stick around, please. All right, with me this week is my co-host, Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead Girl. How you doing?
Remember, avoid the knife, keep your life.
Very good. Very good.
That was like so funny.
Oh, wow. I like that. Also joining us is award-winning filmmaker, Christopher G. Mohr.
Like gag me with a slasher spoon. I am so excited to talk about this movie.
Oh, nice.
I'm always excited to talk about movies that I wish I directed.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I like that.
Probably not bearing the lead there, but yeah.
Nope, yeah, guess your score now. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to give you our first impression of the film. That first impression will be spoiler free. So if you haven't seen it, you can watch that part. And then after that, we're going to get into a discussion. We will get into spoilers, and spoilers are to be had. It's a time travel slasher film, of course. And then we'll wrap things up with our score 1 to 5. And guess what Christopher's is? And our favorite scene or scenes. Oh, there might be a plenty. All right. And of course, we hope you enjoy not only this review, but many others that are on the site. If you do, please hit the like, subscribe, and share with a friend buttons. We also want to remind you we are celebrating 10 years of Gruesome Magazine, H&R, Decades of Horror, and all the podcasts that we've done in between all that. There's been a bad gaggle. We've done, oh my gosh, I don't even want to share how many we've done. It's too many. I have abused all my friends. All right. They've watched too much crap along the way. But anyway, thanks for all of you who have been hanging out with us any amount of time in between that. And also, we welcome all the new viewers. Join us. Yes. Or as Christopher says, join us.
Join us.
Yes. All right.
I'm one with the horror.
Let's take a look at the card and get these rolling. All right, Totally Killer 2023, available streaming on Prime Video beginning October 6th. Synopsis is when the infamous Sweet 16 killer returns 35 years after his first murder spree to claim another victim. 17-year-old Jamie accidentally, she says, travels back into time to 1987, determined to stop the killer before he can start. Ooh. Directed by Nahnatchka Khan. Written by David Matalon, Sasha Perl-Raver, and Jen D'Angelo. Why am I saying names like that? I don't know, but bear with. Cast includes Kieran Shipka, Olivia Holt, Charlie Gillespie, Lachlan Monroe, Troy Lee, and Johnson. Wow, that's a lot of names. Liana Liberato. I'm sure it doesn't come out that way, but I did. Kelsey Mawima. Ouch. And Steffi Chin Salvo. I think I scored a 45 on that one, but that's probably better than average. All right, let's get into this. Let's find out what. Apologies to every name I butchered, which is many apologies. All right, let's get into our first impression.
Well, this is a slasher film we're talking about.
Yeah.
So butcher away.
Oh, well. Thank you. All right, Crystal, you're up first. What was your first impression of Totally Killer?
I love this movie. I love this movie so much. Okay, so I love Kieran. I think she's fabulous. I liked Sabrina, and I love Olivia Holt. Kicking it with, y'all probably don't know what that is.
I don't, but awesome.
It's a Disney show. It's super embarrassing. But I didn't know anything about this film going in. So when it starts off, you have this mom who brings out the "Can't Buy Me Love" jacket. That's the first thing I remember. And I was like, oh God, it feels so 80s. And then we time traveled, and I know why. I really didn't know that that was going to happen at all. The movie is very clever and written very well. I love the way that she reacts to the 80s. I'm like, that is the only way you could react now, because how inappropriate. I love the both versions of the mom, but I love how they wrote the mom. Oh my god, so freaking funny. It's not what is this movie rated?
R.
Okay, it should be R. Yeah, because I was like, there's a lot of cussing and a lot of references to a lot of different things. But yeah, this movie is hilarious. Like the whole if someone is chasing you, run. First run. It's dumb. I love it. I think it's awesome. I love that we get to see all the characters as adults first, and then we get to see them as kids, as teenagers. Like, yeah, I think it's directed well. I think it's cute. I think it has a lot of very, very funny things, but it's not so over the top. It's to the point where it's almost kind of believable, but a little bit much. The characters are lovable. Honestly, this is probably going to be on my top 10. I mean, I liked it that much. Like, and I mean, honestly, just the whole thing is a riot, and just the whole waterbed thing. We can't give anything away, but there's so many funny little things that happen in this movie. I think it's really clever. Who did the same person who directed it write it as well?
No.
Okay. Well, they did a great job, both of them, whomever they are. Yeah. So I loved it. I would love to see more. In this sort of vein. Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's a good comment. I like that. Christopher G. Morse, what was your first impression of Totally Killer?
This is my favorite slasher of the year.
Oh, wow.
And on top of it, if you know me, I love a good horror comedy. I love a movie that's set in the 80s.
Yeah.
I like me some Kieran. But this was even better than I expected. I was kind of worried it was going to be one of those, like, even though I enjoyed it, but I don't know if you ever saw, like, what was it? Hot Tub Time Machine. Or
yes.
You know, where it's, I mean, granted, you know, there's always these jokes when they have movies that are set in the 80s, but I think just having that sort of Back to the Future level of a person from today's time having to deal with, you know, as someone, all three of us lived during the 80s. So it was very inappropriate time when you look back at it. People were stupid. People thought they could drink. I mean, you look back at the old things where they talked about, like, when they made people wear seatbelts, and they're like, yeah, or they made them like, you can't drink and drive. It's like, I can drink and drive. And the misogyny. I mean, it's like, and they do a really great job of infusing humor. I mean, the dialogue is, I haven't laughed this much in any film I've seen all year long. Seriously.
Oh, wow.
This movie made me laugh so much. There's so much, and a lot of it's just her reacting, because you know,
how
nowadays
is this legal?
Well, yeah. Nowadays you would have to have a passport to get into a high school, but back in the day, you could just show up and they put you on the roll. I mean, that's just how it is. And I think it's kind of cool. They have like the 80s kind of killer mask type thing, and how they work the time travel aspect of it, and it's very meta too. It's almost, I mean, they make references to Scream, but it is very Scream in its meta-ness, because they make references to other films. They make reference to both time travel films, and they also create their own logic about how time travel films, you know, work and that kind of thing. So, but overall, this movie was a blast from beginning to end. Yay. And I loved every minute of this film.
I'm going to second both of you. I thoroughly enjoyed this. It was written so well, and the comedy, the observational comedy, is that correct? Is just spot on with her reacting to people acting like they were in the 80s. It's just so inappropriate and it's hilarious. But at the same time, it has some good kills. It has interesting. It handles the time travel in a way that doesn't make your mind hurt. They kind of keep it on the top level. I mean, they even go to the point that to reference, like, have you seen Back to the Future? And then they even go to say, well, you're not going to disappear like Back to the Future. But the way they explain it, perfectly simple, perfectly clear. On the poster they reference it's from the producers behind Megan and Happy Death Day, and it certainly has the spirit of both of those kind of into this film. It works as a slasher film. It works as a comedy, and it's a pretty well-rounded film. A lot of times, sometimes it'll get uneven, but never in this one. And Kieran is fantastic in the lead, and the supporting cast is wonderful as well. I'm going to struggle to find anything actually wrong with this film. To be honest with you, it was really tight and really well done. So let's get into some spoilers. Let's talk about some of the awesome stuff that happens during this film. Start us off, Chris.
I mean, I love the production design. I mean, they really pulled off the 80s, but it wasn't like, like some 80s films, it's like, we're just going to put everybody in the fluorescent outfits, or they just make it so over the top that it kind of takes you out of it.
The mom's outfit.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? When she meets that old lady, and she's like, I don't know you. I'm not going to get in the car. Would a serial killer wear
velour or something like that?
Or something. Yeah. And it's like that tracksuit. I swear to God, I swear. I mean, I know I was little, but I swear to God, my mom had that exact same outfit. I swear she did.
Well, I think, I think the best part of it is it played into like how the 80s people didn't give an F about anything. I mean, the woman had 3 kids or 2 kids and took her in her car, was smoking with the windows up. Yeah. And that, it's a funny joke, but I mean, there's probably people that still do that, but it's a funny joke because that happened back in the day, and people didn't care about cancer. They didn't care that people would just smoke in enclosed environments. But that's the humor of it, and just the outfits and the partying and all that. I mean, the partying still happens now, but it's just and just the archetypes that you normally have in 80s films. They did a great job of it. And I even love how it doesn't give anything. Well, it doesn't not really give anything away, but in credits, they do like the thing where they almost like, here's what the bit of them having to catch up on what happened when she was gone. It's like those 80s movies, Animal House or something. I think, I think this is one of these films where you don't really care that a lot of the cast you don't really know from anywhere. I mean, you have Julie Bowen from Modern Family, and you've got the
Olivia Holt and Kieran are super popular. Pretty.
They are, but again, the majority of the cast is pretty much not as known. And I mean, I did recognize
the other girl was in Scream.
Well, the husband wasn't the husband. Wasn't he in Scary Movie? I can't remember the husband. But anyway, I mean, I thought all the cast did a really great job in informing all the different characters. I mean, it's just like this is the perfect. I mean, even without the slasher element, it's just a perfect comedy. There's just little bits. Funny. I mean, there's one part. It's like when the girl's like, "I'm making cocktails," and she's pouring
the vodka.
She pours the whole cup full of vodka. she puts a little bit of orange juice or something in it. She drinks. She's just like, and she pours more alcohol in it because it wasn't tasty enough. I laughed so hard. I mean, it's just like so many stupid bits, or just like, or like the girl that wants to have sex with a guy, and she's like, they what's it? Bartles and James, they call him BJs or whatever, and she's talking to the guy.
That's what that was.
Yeah, Bartles and James.
Okay, I could not figure out what it.
Yeah.
But I knew they weren't talking about BJs.
Wine coolers, yeah. But when she's like, he's like, well, you can give me BJs. Like, what? You pee out of that thing? It's just, there's just so many really funny, memorable lines with this.
But the dude who's like, think about it. If she did give BJs, she might still be alive. And she's like, no, let's not make that.
Let's not make this the lesson here. Yeah. Well, it is funny because like me, I grew up a part of most of my teenage years. I lived in South Carolina, and I would go to Myrtle Beach, and they would sell the shirts that would say FBI female body inspector.
Yeah, it was on there.
So I just laughed so hard when I saw that, because it's like they would have. That'd be in the front window of the store, and nowadays it's very inappropriate. But it's just her calling out the inappropriateness of things, you know.
The dodgeball, whole dodgeball scene.
Oh, so funny. The coach, the coach was so freaking. Kind of reminded me of Miss Ballbreaker from Porky's, but yeah, like her. Just how people, the teachers don't give an F. I mean, it's like, oh my God, I want to go watch this again now. Just talking about this.
I know, it's so funny. Like, this movie is so good, good.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, it does have that, and it has a normal sort of like murder mystery element, because you're trying to figure out who it is, and just even the different locations and stuff add so much to the specific scenes.
One of the things I really liked is how they had, you know, the rundown park in the future, and then when she goes back, everything's all. I just think I know it's little, but it was kind of cool to see it, and you know, its heyday. And I know that that's probably a big deal.
I will say, I don't think any of us had a cool dollhouse of horrors.
No.
Or I kind of wish.
Awesome.
I wish that was now.
Yeah. Like, no, like, please. Like,
I did like that the click was based on Molly Ringwald. Like versions of Molly.
What?
So, I mean, and it was just how clever this film is, because it brings the references in, but it's not. They're brought in a fairly natural way, you know, through discussion, or you know, what people are doing, as opposed to, you know, look what I did, ha ha ha, you know. It also kind of ties. I mean, remember Heathers, you know, it also kind of makes those references, those side references, those, as well as movies after the fact where you have a group of girls like that. But yeah, I kind of like that, because then it ties in earlier in the movie when you see the mom dressed as a Molly Ringwald character.
Yes,
it kind of makes sense. But also, and I think this film kind of does a thing where people always think of their parents being like fuddy-duddies, and they weren't cool, or they could ever be an asshole or whatever. And I love that this aspect, you get to see them back in the day, you know, because I'm sure if you look at a lot of our pictures growing up, we're probably a whole lot different to some degree than what we used to be. And I love that aspect. I mean, with them, it's like almost total opposite of what she thought, which is also, I loved her bit where she kept wanting to say mom.
Yeah,
Mama. But I think she did want to les out with me. I like that the father comes out with the abs, and she keeps going up to him.
Oh yeah, and she's like,
too horny, stay away, too horny, too early, too horny.
Well, when the dad's like, I used to look like Zac Efron, you're like, yeah, whatever, dude. And then you see the dad come up.
Yeah, but you know, and I love the nerdy mom of her best friend, who's almost like the Doc Brown of this universe. And I love that aspect of it as well. I mean, I don't know. I love all the different characters that, even though they could be, I guess, archetypes or stereotypical to some degree, they still are a little bit more fleshed out than normal. And they're just fun characters to watch, and they all stand out. They don't kind of blend into each other. They each individual characters, but I also kind of like the aspect of it all where even if you know how the future is going to play out, by you messing with it, it's going to screw it up. So how do you deal with that kind of thing?
Yeah, I love the parts when she would basically save the person from the original kill, but it would just happen a different way. And then
I love how they brought in the Mandela effect.
That's a perfect.
That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's a perfect thing, because people always say, like even on TikTok videos, like we're in a different time line or whatever, and I love that they worked that. I mean, this is a really smartly written comedic movie, and I mean, yeah, sure, this movie could be on its own, but I kind of want to see them go into different time periods, but maybe that might be too much beyond this, because as someone, or go in the future or something.
Yeah, the future would be awesome. I did like how they ended with her new story, and her name wasn't Jamie anymore.
Oh my God!
Awesome?
Well, and she has a 24-year-old brother.
Yes.
I was like, I'm dead. That's so freaking fun. She's like, ooh.
I kind of figured that's what happened. But yeah, it's.
I thought it was who the other mom was dating. I was like, well, girl, like you got a little young dude now, because how much better she looked like in this universe versus the other, and so I like that things were better overall.
Yeah, I like those small little fact that she kept the journal just of all the things, because she waited all those years, right, to tell her all about it. She knew when she was.
What a big deal, though. That changed her whole life. Like, can you imagine? But see, what concerns me is, I would have been concerned that she would have changed things in her life and not met her husband to have her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
That's what would have been concerning to me. But I guess
some things are fated to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, although it would have been a very sort of ash kind of thing to happen, where she'd go back to her regular time period, and everybody knows who she is.
Well, they did say that if that did happen, that she would nobody would know who she was, that she wouldn't vanish, right? Yeah.
She would have no life.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting.
Which does make more sense, because you still exist, I guess. I mean, I don't know. It's confusing.
Time is like
the time travel stuff is just.
Well, they didn't dwell on that. They gave us just enough that fit in the story. They didn't try to oversaturate the science.
Yeah, and it's like, with most time travel type stuff, you just punch a bunch of electronics with flashing lights and we believe it's a time machine.
Yeah. Oh, and did you see the cables and the wires? It's
yeah.
But I was like, I'm behind it. I don't.
It's more for licks than anything else. I mean,
I'm easy with this stuff.
I mean, it's like I think the thing on the car and Back to the Future was actually some kind of coffee grinder or something. So it's like,
yeah.
I mean, it was clever because they went back in the photo machine and then went forward in the
well, and again, that's what makes the script so brilliant, because when you take pictures,
that's what I remember.
When you take pictures, you're taking pictures of this specific time period, and so using like a photo machine to go back in time is just like that's such a brilliant idea, And then just like, we talk about like how great script writing, you sort of like make references to something that happens, and I think she makes a joke about basically makes an Avengers joke talking about the quantum thing or whatever, and later on there's the spinning machine that's called the quantum. So yeah, this film is really tightly written.
And the red mist. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mist or whatever it was.
But see, even his life came out better. Even though he was the killer there, his life in the other was much better because he had his dad gone. His dad was his whole issue.
But also, I mean, this also plays into every, any of the slashers of the 80s is always like you did something wrong to somebody, you cause someone's death or whatever, and they come after you, So I love that they sort of like made it like your traditional 80s slashers,
So I still think it's interesting that Devin why didn't he kill the mom? Because in the Prime, universe, he never killed the mom. He just stopped after 3. He didn't kill her.
Because there was something about that she wasn't.
Oh, she wasn't there. She wasn't there.
She wasn't there. Yeah.
You're right. She wasn't there. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Because I was like, God, I kept thinking, and I was like, I totally forgot that. Thank you.
Well, yeah, and I think
Plot hole
that's
filled.
yeah. Although we need to start, being questionable of any of us now that we know a podcaster.
Oh no, that's
an
right.
evil podcaster.
Yeah, don't push me the wrong way. All right, guys, let's get into let's wrap things up and do our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. Well, I'll let you have scenes. Let's do it. Crystal, you're up first. Let us have it.
Okay. So I'm going to give this a 4.5. And oh God, there's a lot of scenes. Okay, but I'm going to, and it's going to be kind of a weird scene, but I loved it. I was actually laughing in it, even though it winds up being sad. But the fight between the mom and the killer was awesome. The whole thing. And, of course, it explains why she knows so much. She's like, I've been waiting for this for 60, however many years. And then how she hits it. And then she has a knife there. I loved the whole scene because I could buy it. She's been crazy about this her whole life because of what happened. And then the killer was never caught and was always, I loved it. I thought it was really, it was so tense and I was really thinking she was going to get out of it. It actually kind of messed me up a little bit. I was a little depressed after that, but I thought the whole flight scene was shot really well.
Yeah, and that was all pre credits, right? Pre-opening credits, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, technically, yeah.
Christopher, what's your score and favorite scene?
This gets a 5 out of 5. This is definitely going to be my top 10. It's one of my favorite films of the year. It's so expertly crafted and well written. It has great dialogue and so entertaining. As for favorite scene or scenes, I'll say the dodgeball scene. I thought it was just
the whole thing is so
funny. Because it's like, I guess nowadays we have kids that aren't like brutal and you have to be careful, and I guess the snowflake era, as they say. But back in the day, they didn't give an F of hit you in the nose or even hit the teacher, and her just response is like, what is going on? And then like her mom,
get off the field, B.
Yeah. I'll say if I could pick a million different scenes, but I also like the scene where she's trying to confront her mom. I guess it might be later in that scene, and she says the mamacita line, and then the girl, like, her mom says the same rude thing to her in Spanish.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
It's like another girl's like, 3 years of Spanish, bitch.
That was the girl that was in Scream 6, by the way. So say she's
was that her from Scream 6?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I didn't know. I really only knew basically the parents and Julie Bowen were the only ones I kind of recognized. So for me, it was coming at it with a totally new cast. But I don't know. There's
Randall Park too is one of the cops.
Oh yeah, well that's true. Him too. That's him too.
Cool.
Yeah, but anyway, there's a million different things I could say that's a favorite. This whole movie is my favorite scene.
The whole movie's your favorite scene. I love it. I'm going to give this a 4.75. How about that?
Yay!
I'm leaning toward.
I don't like that. I was going to give it a 5 too, but I was like, you know how hard it is for me to give anything.
I was leaning that way. I was leaning. My favorite scene. I'm going to choose the Mandela effect scene when he realizes that. Yesterday I thought it was this, and now it's this. What happened? And I've been studying this for so many years, and they explain it. And then he looks at the photo, and now she's in the photo, and that gets him going. Well, there's kind of comes back around too. But that's not it, right? It happens a couple times, and I really like that. If I was going for a second one, it would be kind of the finale scene where they're running through that crazy haunted house thing, and they all take a beating, but they keep going.
Yeah.
And I really like that, because we've talked a lot about the comedy, but on the slasher side, it's got what it takes
good
too.
action.
And that whole scene really did it. The scene in the house too, as well, in the bedroom, because he had to do.
God, the waterbed. It's so weird. Waterbeds are weird.
But he always had to
that
do
people actually
what?
had that.
He had to do what, like 14 or 16 slices? He had
16.
Yeah. That's a Sweet 16 thing, right?
Sweet 16 calorie, yeah.
So I like that. I like the mystery aspect. So there's a lot to like. If you like the slasher, I think you're going to be very, very happy with this. If you like comedy horror films, I think you're going to be very happy. If you just like Happy Death Day kind of movies, there's a lot going on with this, and I think we all highly recommend it.
Like Freaky as well. It's
a
nice combo of horror and comedy.
So and it was also directed really well. There are some really cool scenes and direction in those scenes, little bits of nuggets of style and flashiness. And I love Graviton's what I knew it was. What was it called? It was called something else.
Gravitron.
Quantum.
I remember Gravitron, yeah.
And but that whole scene with them in it, as it was spinning around and throwing people out the door and stuff. I
just kept thinking about that the woman that shows up like the nun and dances in the middle of it.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my god. And the meme. Oh man, no. All right, well there you go. That's our review for Totally Killer. It's streaming on Prime Video. It's kind of this should have been in theaters.
This is another one that should have been in theaters. Really.
When does it come out?
It'll be streaming October 6th.
Okay. Because I can't wait to watch it again.
Yeah.
Like I really want to see it again.
I would own this on physical media if they ever put it on physical media.
It's funny.
No.
And it'll probably be one of those ones that's going to be hard to find, so it's worth buying.
But yeah, you can watch it when it comes out. This is a true gem of this year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be unfortunately overlooked. There's so much content, but
I hope not.
Sadly.
What a waste! What a waste!
I wonder if they're going to make those masks. I would buy one of those masks.
I know. I was actually I
like
googled looking
don't
for
they?
one. Kinda, except the earring.
Yeah.
And the T-shirt. You need a T-shirt too.
I'm going to start looking for that.
There you go. All right. Well, Crystal, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
This is a totally killer conversation.
Totally. All right. Let's say good night.
Good night.
Gruesome Magazine.